Well, how do the chums, as I, Captain Stephen, today, chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I have another lore episode, and this one is Vy'Keen Lore Simplified. Yeah, so let's head on down to the plaque, and let's see what snippet of lore appears here. Now, there are 30 pieces of lore to be found, so you're going to have to hit up 30 plaques to get all of the lore. However, I've put them in these handy-dandy graphical cards that are going to pop up on the screen with 5 snippets per card. So there we go. So it acts as a reminder, or if you're missing one or just want to recap, yeah, take it away. Let's bring these up on the screen now. Now, what I'm going to do is suggest that you read these in your own time by pausing it or printing them or whatever you wish to do in the way of getting all fangly-dangly with your lore of the Vy'Keen. So here we go. Let's hit this up and let's take it away. Brilliant. Now, although there are 30 snippets of lore, the actual Vy'Keen synopsis is quite a short one, which I'll delve into in a bit. But for now, here comes those cards that I promised thee out there in viewerverse. So get ready on that pause button. Each stays up for about 7 seconds. So here we go. Now, you can see here that they herald from the system of Darundar. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. And there was 2 factions by looks of things, Herc and Null, and they're up against the Sentinels. Now, the Gek were quite fond of their Gek nip, and different aromas and things. Now, it does mention here about Gra Gra. I can only assume that it's some sort of celebratory alcoholic beverage, or at least that's the sort of imagery it conjures up in my mind, of them maybe slamming some great big hollowed out horned tusks against one another in a very Vy'Keen-esque type Vy'Keen type way, you know? So yeah, that's kind of how I envisage this warrior race when it comes to celebration. So there's quite a lot to digest there, but I give you my basic breakdown in a bit. But inside of the game, there is actually a small synopsis here. You can see that there is 796 words to learn, the largest of the 3 races. So here we go. Here's the little synopsis inside of game. So the Vy'Keen are warlike beings from the Darundar system. Obsessed with the defeat of the Sentinels controlled by the Vy'Keen High Command, they fight the Sentinel menace across the galaxy. Despite their aggressive appearance, the Vy'Keen are bound by strict code of honor. They value loyalty, sacrifice, and good death above material goods or knowledge, and are sworn to aid the traveller whenever possible. So that's pretty darn freaking cool, and it's nice to have them on our side. I know that I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of a Vy'Keen. Heck no. Right, in fact, when you interact with them, there's a good time that they punch you in a lot of interactions they punch you. Be prepared to lose a little bit of energy each time you interact with Vy'Keen. So yeah, the Mercenaries Guild, I'd say, is more aligned to that of the Vy'Keen. You're going to find that most of the missions for the Mercenaries Guild revolve around killing something, be that creatures or be that Sentinels or raiding depots. So you're going to see that quite a lot. So here we go. I'm going to give you my breakdown, my sort of synopsis of all those cards from earlier on. So the Vy'Keen are a warrior race, reptilian humanoids that are native to the Euclid galaxy. They originate from the planet Darundar, located on the outer edge. There are 2 factions within inside of the Vy'Keen, those that follow Null and those that follow Herc. Null heard the word of the Atlas, and those that follow Null's ways are less in number and seen as outcast by those that follow Herc. Herc and the followers of Herc see the Atlas and the Sentinels as enemies, as they do not die. Herc and the followers of Herc see great honour in death, especially for those that fall in battle. The Vy'Keen rage great battles against the Sentinels, pushing them back into the dark space of the galactic edge. While the Vy'Keen were focusing battle efforts on the first spawn, dominated the galaxies and placed the Korvax into slavery. They waited until the Vy'Keen numbers had dropped and grew into Vy'Keen space. Conflicts between the races grew. The Vy'Keen wanted to act and help the Korvax, but were unable. They were still weak from the Sentinel War, and Herc had grown old and tore his own body asunder, so they lacked leadership. The Sentinels used this time to grow in number and return to all planets, seeming to appear from nowhere. a void between worlds, perhaps using the portals and ley lines to plaques and monoliths. They attacked the Gek, and the war between the factions crumbled. Many of the Vy'Keen are now machine priests, exocraft technicians and multi-tool specialists, still attacking sentinels and shunning the Atlas. Yet they will help the Traveller. They see them as common foe of the Sentinels. I do really like the Vy'Keen sort of look and feel. Sometimes they've got great big demon-like horns. I mean, this guy's got very sort of demon-esque type eyes. But yeah, they are quite formidable in looks, and I love the sort of mechanical sort of armours that they have. It's probably my favourite sort of suit, is the Vy'Keen battle suit. It really is. And then I sort of mix that with the Gek war helmet, which it kind of all comes together in a roundabout way. I kind of sort of look like a mishmash of all the races other than the Korvax, that is. Yeah, I kind of like this look. It kind of works for me. Righto. So, when you're hitting up missions, you can see here that the mercenary guilds are to raid a planetary harvester. So yeah, there we go, one mercenary guild mission there, which yeah, again is going to be upsetting the Sentinels, which they love to do. So there we are. If you're looking for mercenary missions, head into Vy'Keen space. You tend to find a fair few there. Righto, so now I've headed down to an archive. So if you do want to increase your knowledge on Vy'Keen lore outside of the plaques, you want to be going to archives found on planet surfaces, because these hit up historical records from the Vy'Keen era. And I must say that some of the actual lore that you stumble across inside of the archives for the Vy'Keen is probably some of my favourite lore in game, to be fair. The talks of Herc and Null, and the sort of war between the two factions within inside of the actual Vy'Keen Brotherhood. Yeah, it's quite cool. Hello there, Vy'Keen chum, how are you? He's got those demon horns. Oh, he's got like the cowy type ones. The ones I like are where there's 4 sort of demony type horns. Freaking awesome. I don't think we're going to get to see one of those guys here. Look at them. They're coming in for hugs. No, you keep your distance. 2 meters. Thank you very much. Right, so let's head on over here. So the Vy'Keen kind of remind me of other sci-fi type, antagonisty type races, almost like the Klingons inside of Star Trek, or perhaps even the Predator inside the Arnold Schwarzenegger type film. Yeah, so yeah, they do have that sort of feel about them. They are very sort of honor-based, kind of almost like the old sort of samurais of Japan, or maybe even the Vikings of our sort of era in our histories. Right, so let's head on over to the archive and see what we can bring up here. I mean, the whole notion of Valhalla and all that sort of stuff, and honor and death, is where I'm going with it. But here we go, this is called The Title of Dishonored. It appears to be a philosophical tract circulated through the worlds of the Outer Edge. The ancients speak of Gek, of their change, of their crimes, but the dishonour is unchanging. Crimes marked in blood do not fade. We do not forget, but we accept. I love that. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, that kind of rings true, doesn't it, within the world? We accept. What does acceptance mean, cubs? How can evil be suffered to live? Why does our fleet not go to war? Why do we not destroy the enemies of Herc wherever they exist, whatever they call themselves, whatever the cost? Again, there's almost a call to cry to war. See why I like the lore so much? All of this has happened before. The ancients teach us. There are many iterations, many dreams. In all of them we failed, or lost ourselves in victory. Oh, that's kind of nice as well. That they recognised that the fact that they were so tied up in winning that they could have actually lost. There will still come a day. Soon to the truth of the Gek will be revealed. We do not need to fight. They will destroy themselves, which they kind of did. The low spawn grew in number, thanks to the nanites, that of the Korvax, and tore the actual firstborn from their birthing pools, therefore sort of taking the fangs off the beast of the Gek. Yeah, so there we go, chums. I hope you enjoyed all this. I love how all this lore interacts with each other. Until next time, goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit a like and a subscribe, and I'd like to say a massive, great big thank you to all of my backers over on Patreon and over on YouTube membership. Thanking you, backers. And if you want to support this channel, just don't skip the adverts. That throws revenue down my avenue. Or yeah, just stay with Captain Steve that little bit longer and hit something on this screen. There's merch here now too.